Hi, this is Ed Cross with Restoration Crosscheck. Restoration Crosscheck is a team of all-star insurance and restoration gurus that I put together to provide consulting services to restorers. The restoration industry has many members, many strong players who have the will to bring their business to the next level, but they don't necessarily have the power to do that. And what we try to do is turn that will into power. And in order to accomplish that, I have assembled an unequaled squadron of restoration masters. And recently, I was very happy to announce that Mr. Mike Fulton had joined the team. Mike Fulton, most of you will recognize his name. He was with Exactware for 30 years. He was the president of Veris Property Estimating Solutions for the last 7 years that he was there. There are very few people in the industry who know more about Xactimate or pricing than Mike Fulton. And Mike is a wonderful asset to the claims ecosystem. And this is a great opportunity for us today to be able to talk with him a little bit about the types of services that he is offering through Restoration Crosscheck and what he can do for your business. Mike is a very professional and somewhat soft-spoken guy, and sometimes when he says things, they might get overlooked by some people. And that's why a few years ago, when he was on the RIA industry briefing and he set the record straight once and for all that Xactimate prices were not intended to be used globally in every situation, I was shouting that from the rooftops. Let's take a look at this. There are a lot of things that Mike Fulton has to say that are very, very helpful to the system and to the process. So we're very happy to have him involved. And Mike, I'd like to start off by talking for a minute about your observations of the current state of the property claims environment, because a lot of people believe, particularly in the last 10 years or so, it has become especially adversarial and contentious.
I appreciate it, Ed, and thank you for having me on. Thank you for allowing me to join the team. I think that the Restoration Crosscheck group is just a great channel. The focus is clearly on the restorer side of the market. I'm focused on the entire market, but this is an awesome channel to reach out to restorers. As you said very kindly, 43 years, frankly, in the construction, the restoration, property claims space, the last 30 of which I was squarely on the technology side. On the data side, focused on estimatics and cost data. And it's given me a tremendous insight into that space as a whole, and really including all the stakeholders involved. So related to business operations and strategy, customer relations, and even the legal side of the business, I've become very familiar with. What I've seen, and you mentioned it becoming contentious, I think that's likely the case. But there's been a shift, and I think there's going to continue to be a shift in the marketplace as claims become more digital and claims become more remotely adjusted. That leads to natural challenges in developing and maintaining relationships among the stakeholders. I'm a firm believer that relationships, whether it's in life in general, but certainly in business, are critical to the success. And I think we're seeing just a demographic. Inflation has been fairly catastrophic in the last couple of years, but it's been continuing on its march for many, many years. And everybody is looking at ways in which they can be as efficient as possible. Remote adjusting is one of the critical ways, and that's lent itself towards more advances in technology for doing remote estimating, remote measuring, material identification, object recognition, things of that nature. I think we're going to see more of that. And the critical piece for us is to make sure that people have the tools in their arsenal so that they can develop those relationships and have good communication with everybody involved.
I think a lot of people don't realize it, but you are actually a licensed general contractor and a carpenter, and you ran your own construction business down in Atlanta, right? For a whole decade, Mike was a contractor.
I did. I remain licensed today. I'm a certified water restorer, also a CPCU, so a chartered property and casualty underwriter. And I still love building things with my hands. That's one of my loves, is taking things apart and putting them back together. Whether it's automobiles, I've restored several old cars, I've built multiple homes, even since I've been with the Exactor organization. They've all been my own homes. But I just enjoy it. There's a tremendous satisfaction in creating something and knowing it's going to be there for a long time.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit more about the types of services that you're providing on behalf of Restoration Crosscheck and some ways that you can help individual restorers deal with the challenges in the relationships that they're encountering.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to start off with, and I've said this many times, in my mind, we really work in one of the most gratifying industries that exist, where everybody is focused. I'm talking about all stakeholders in the space on restoring people's lives when they've experienced a loss or had damage to their home or property. I've had, I guess, the privilege, for lack of a better word, is probably the best word to put toward it. I've had the privilege to work with all sides of that industry and really see the perspective of each, whether that's the restorer, the insurer, the independent adjuster, or the TPA. And, Xactimate is a wonderful tool. All of the tools that are out there from an estimating perspective are really wonderful tools, and many of them very powerful. But any tool in your, like any arrow in your quiver, whatever analogy you want to use, if you're not fully aware of what those tools can do for you, what you can get from proper training and what you can get from proper training, you're just not going to be utilizing it to its full potential. So my goal is to, and what I think I can do, is help restorers to understand the market, understand the technology, understand the future of the technology and the market in general, understand the perspective of the other side and all sides with whom they're dealing with, from anything relative to property claims to perhaps general business. And in my role with Exactor, I had the opportunity and the privilege to run a very large organization with nearly 600 employees. And there's a lot of those things when dealing with business and business strategy that you can work across any type of business. And so I'm here and hoping that I can provide some assistance to those in the market with regard to business strategy, property claims strategy, technology, future of the business, things of that nature.
And Mike is already underway providing these services to some of our clients, and that has been very well received. Let's talk a little bit about a topic that's super important in a lot of people's minds, Mike, which is their relationships with adjusters and our Restoration Crosscheck adjuster relations training program and coaching. If somebody's experiencing conflict with adjusters, what can they expect when they work for you? Kind of paint a picture for us as to what that would look like.
No, great question. And you mentioned it as one of the premier things that we're doing within Restoration Crosscheck. And I think it's one of the areas in which there are gaps in the marketplace and gaps in understanding amongst all those that are playing. My process, or the way I generally work with anybody and that's having some sort of friction, whether it's two employees or certainly in this case with an adjuster, with someone with whom they're working on the claim, is just to first talk to our client, have a discussion with them, focus on the issue, the type of person or the role of the person with whom they're working. And the areas generally, without fail, where we see the most opportunities for progress are generally always communication or the lack thereof. And my model with regard to restorers is to help them understand the perspective of the other side first, to help them understand and perhaps identify blind spots they might be having that could be leading to friction, meaning is it self-inflicted? But I can assist in a number of ways, including in some cases helping the adjuster with whom they're working understand the perspective of the restorer. Certainly not assuming the role of a PA or an attorney or anything like that, but merely in the capacity of an independent consultant who just has an interest in providing information, in much the same way that insurers sometimes leverage consultants on their end. And I can do that as well.
Yeah, it's an important point to mention here because a lot of restorers feel oppressed sometimes when an insurance company brings in a third-party consultant and they feel kind of overpowered, and the consultant comes in with a lot of heavy-duty credentials and is independent, and restorers feel that they need to go head-to-head with these people. It's not true, ladies and gentlemen. You can hire your own consultant to speak on your behalf and speak professional to professional. And this is a very good way to get the respect of the other consultant, to have somebody else come in similar accomplishments and backgrounds, or in the case of Mike Fulton, superior backgrounds and accomplishments, to help dispel some of the myths out there. And there are a lot of them. And Mike is very good at helping companies identify their blind spots. And if you've got a better understanding of the thought process of how an insurance company operates, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to navigate your way through their requests and to a smooth resolution of the claim. And we help restorers understand the rationale for some of the requests that come from insurance companies and some fast ways to get to a quicker settlement. So imagine a day when you are not having to bicker with adjusters over modification of prices, or when an adjuster comes back and says, change your price to the Xactimate price. This is where Restoration Crosscheck can come in and help. Mike, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, certainly there's a main number to dial into Restoration Crosscheck. It's 833-60-CHECK, CHECK, or you can reach out to me directly at Mike Fulton at restorationcrosscheck.com.
Mike and I look forward to seeing everybody at the RIA convention in Dallas, April 8th through the 10th. We will be putting on a pre-convention workshop that's focused largely on adjuster relations and customized pricing. That's going to be on April 8th. You don't want to miss that. Space is very limited. Our workshops have been very well received. Go to restorationindustry.org to get more information about the convention. Please visit restorationcrosscheck.com. If you thought this video was helpful to you, please like it. Please subscribe. Next week, we're going to be dropping a video where Mike and I are going to be talking about some of the nuts and bolts issues here. For example, what constitutes a reasonable price for a restoration project? What to do when an adjuster says, well, another restorer down the street will perform the job for our price, so we're just going to pay our price. Or what to do when an adjuster says, you can't charge for something because it's not listed in Xactimate, and a lot more. So thank you for joining us today, and please stay tuned. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.